All right, everybody. This week we have a special guest on a special topic. It's Raining Men. We got our first non-PG County guest to enter the podcast Top 5 Everything. He loves the weather, so the weather girls for the weather man. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to volume 9, everybody. This is actually Ronnie's choice here. Top 5 worst TV characters. I will say, gentlemen, that as I get deeper into this podcast, I realize more and more how much these non-vital topics mean to my life. And I don't know if I should be getting depressed about it or happy. So I had a lot of fun with this one. It was an interesting one for me. I have this is my best list by far. So you guys are in trouble. But welcome, Zach.
Thank you. Great to be here, guys.
What up?
Zach is a friend of the show, so I'm sure he knows how the whole thing works out, and he gets to go first. And we start obviously with your number 5. We work up to number 1, so we're not gonna get fancy with it. We're gonna just start it off. So, what do you got for your number 5, Zach?
I'm gonna come in with my number 5, Pete Campbell from Mad Men. Good show, terrible character. He's whiny. He's entitled. He's just an annoying character. He's a Don Draper wannabe. He tries to blackmail Don. He sees his secretary on the side when he's about to get married and just disrespects her all the time as a baby with her. He also assaults an au pair, which is, not good. So, yeah, my number 5, Pete Campbell.
Ryan, what do you think there? Any thoughts?
I've actually never seen Mad Men, so I don't really have much to say. I've only met one person named Pete. His nickname was Pete Your Feet, so he was pretty cool. So this guy's probably pretty cool too.
Ronnie?
Yeah, I'm one of the, few people that have never really gotten into Mad Men. I've watched episodes of it every once in a while, but I remember the character, and he was just, like Zach said, just a sleazebag. Like, the guy is the epitome of a piece of shit. There are a lot of piece of shits on that show, but he probably took the cake. So I agree with Zach.
Yeah, I feel like this is a show that I probably should watch and would like, but I've actually never seen it, so I don't know anything about that guy. I've never seen his picture before. Apparently Ryan was watching Mad Men while we were all trying to watch Mad Men, but we'll see how the rest of this list goes. So I'm not going to disagree because I don't even know the character. So I guess we'll move on quickly to Ryan for his number 5.
So my number 5 is Henry Mills from Once Upon a Time. This is the only character on my list to ever make me stop watching a show. He's just the most annoying piece of shit ever. I mean, if you introduce a child character to a show like Once Upon a Time, you completely remove all of the stakes from the show. The show doesn't have the balls to do something terrible to a kid character. So if Henry gets kidnapped, guess what? He's going to be rescued. The show becomes predictable from that point forward. I mean, I think there's a horrible tendency in American films and TV as well to not give the audience enough credit for their intelligence. It's like the writers are afraid if things aren't explained explicitly, the audience won't be able to follow the story. And that was Henry's role in Once Upon a Time. So whenever anyone got angry and stormed off scene, it was Henry's job to say, "Wow, she's mad. Yeah, dipshit, we get it." So fuck you, Henry. You ruined Once Upon a Time for me.
Ronnie, thoughts on the Mills boy there?
Yeah, definitely not a show I watch. Once Upon a Time. I agree with Ryan. They should kill more kids in TV shows, especially that kid. Sounds like he sucks. Like, why are you always getting captured by like witches and shit? Like, look, you're not even that special, kid. Where do you get off? You got all these grown ass people trying to play out their fantasy lives, and you're around here just causing trouble, sidetracking him. You know, Snow White, she wait for Prince Charming. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to get it in, and you're getting captured, and she got to go save your ass. You know, them dwarves, they ain't coming for you. It's Snow White. You're a dick, kid. I hate you. Good pick, Ryan.
Yeah, once again, I'm not I have no idea who this person is. I've never seen this person before. I think my wife would be disappointed because she thinks she likes that show. I thought that I should like that show. It had like a Narnia kind of feel, but then I never really got into it. So I'm going to just pass it to Zach. Any idea or any thoughts on the kid?
I also have not seen this show, but I support the pick because on shows like this, when they have kids, like Ryan said, or even, you know, if they have dogs, you know nothing's going to happen. It's just there. You know, there's nothing going to happen to that kid, so why even put the kid on the show? You know, you're just playing around, and it's not good. It doesn't help.
Tell Marley. Tell that to Marley. All right, Ronnie, what you got for number 5?
All right, we ain't going to have the same problem with my pick. Y'all know who he is. Y'all hate him. Ross Geller from Friends.
Oh,
this guy is the whiniest piece of shit ever on TV. First off, he had a monkey for like 2 seasons. The monkey left him because he hated him. And then the monkey became very successful. This dude was banging out chicks left and right. I don't know how. Like, he got married like 7 times to 7 different women, or like 3 different women or some shit. He's always getting in trouble. But he was always the one that was bitching at everyone. Like, you know, Joey Tribbiani is just trying to eat food and bang chicks. Chandler is just trying to bing. And whatever Phoebe does is Phoebean. And this guy just comes in and ruins everyone's good time. In a voice that sounds like this the whole time. He's terrible. Everyone hates Ross Geller. He's a piece of shit. And his sister in the show is infinitely better. So fuck you, Ross.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass to Zach quick because actually he makes my list a little bit further up. But yeah, what I will mention real quick, the monkey, like you mentioned, it's funny. Like the monkey is cooler than he is, yo. It's just like it's hard to do that, but the monkey's cooler than he is. So, Zach, thoughts on the Geller?
I agree, completely agree. He was in my considerations as well. Almost made my list. Probably if it was a top 10, he'd probably be on there. But he didn't make it on my list. But he is annoying, and he's one of those characters that like they start to figure out what they think they're going to do with him, and they picked him out as being the super annoying guy. And it's almost like they just dug deeper and deeper and making him more annoying as the show went on. So they just continue to make him worse and obnoxious. And agree, bad character. Good pick.
Terrible pick.
Thanks.
He had best character development of all time. He started off kind of terrible, but like he's responsible certainly for some of the only funny episodes of that show. The Red Ross thing when he got on anger management for someone eating his turkey sandwich, all hilarious. He was baiting out Aisha Taylor, who's super hot. I mean, this guy's the man. Terrible pick. You're just hating.
All right, we'll move on to my number 5, and everyone will also at least recognize my number 5. So this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is Alan Harper. It's actually John Cryer from. His name is John Cryer from 2.5 Men. I'm sure everyone's a little bit familiar with this guy. Yeah, like the son in the show is way better than him. He gets bitched by like the maid all the time. Like, what's the deal there? I don't understand what's happening. He lives just like is he never moving out? Like, I don't understand what happened. I mean, I respect. Apparently, he's in some movies in like the 80s and 90s. Like, I think he was in Pretty in Pink or something. I didn't watch that, but I respect the longevity. But yo, the show should have ended when the tiger blood possessed Sheen. And how can you not learn to be cooler if you're hanging with Sheen all the time? I mean, this guy is terrible. The character's terrible. Hate him. Look at that. And also, man, stop crossing your legs like that, guys. What's the deal, man? That's for ladies. I don't understand that. Drives me crazy. So he's my number 5. Zach, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. He brought absolutely nothing to the show. Should have called it 1.5 Men. I don't even know why he was on there. It was basically Charlie Sheen and the kid, and then I guess he was just there so they could throw comments off him. He brought nothing to the show. I don't know why they even kept him on there. Good pick.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you think? You seen the show?
I haven't really seen the show, but I know who you're talking about, and the guy's just a fucking penis. So he's just he's just like that annoying sidekick in everything he's ever been in. So yeah, he's annoying. He's terrible.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, I have to agree with this. I didn't even think of this show for some reason. I'm glad you mentioned it. This guy is literally ruining the whole vibe of the house. He's a dentist or an orthodontist or some shit, and he can't live by himself. He has to, because his wife took all his money, rightfully so, because he's definitely a cuck. And you're talking about him having a kid. The kid wants to be like Charlie Sheen, and even more rightfully so, because Charlie Sheen in it plays Charlie Sheen. Like, he does nothing. He makes a ton of money, lives on the beach, just bangs out all these random chicks, and this guy is just ruining everything constantly. Like, do you have to be such a hater? He's letting you live in his house. Like, quit being a piece of shit. I hate you, John Cryer.
Yeah. Zach, we're up to number 4, sir, for you.
All right. So when the topic came to mind, and I think of annoying people, annoying characters in general, throwing back to a show from growing up, this show, most of the characters on this show can make it, but the fact that she's the most annoying of all of them shows how annoying she is. I'm going with Kimmy Gibbler from Full House. Just a complete obnoxious character. Everything she did was obnoxious. Half the characters on that show are annoying, and when she walked in the door, they're all like, "Oh no, she's here again." Like, she's just the worst possible neighbor you could imagine as a kid. So she got my number 4, Kimmy Gibbler.
Ryan.
Well, just another terrible pick right there. I love myself some Gib. I mean, if you look at that picture right there, that bitch is open for business. She is ready to go. Love the Gib. Super hot, super funny, best character on the show.
Ronnie? Thoughts through the pizza.
Great pick, Zach. Great pick. Gibbler was terrible. Who the hell was she? She would just come to their house, the Tanners. Danny Tanner's the only one that had a job for like 80% of the show. He's trying to feed like 50 people, and this bitch just waltzes in and eats all their fucking food and shit. It's terrible. Gibbler, you're weighing DJ down. DJ was going to be super popular after she was exercising and not eating for like 15 days, and then Gibbler ruined it all for her by being stupid. We hate Gibbler. Stephanie is right. How rude. You suck, Kimmy Gibbler.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's pretty annoying. I never really understood like the whole with her, what was the deal with her house? Like, I felt like, weren't they in like San Francisco and they acted like it was like she was all poor or something? I don't know. I just didn't feel like it fit, but you know, it was definitely a good pick. I'll agree with that one. So Ryan, we'll move up to you for number 4.
So my number 4 is D'Angelo Vickers. Does anybody recognize that name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
It's from The
Well, that
Office.
is-
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell on The Office, seen here dropping the ball on his performance. I mean, first off, Will Ferrell is the worst comedic performer of all time, so he's terrible in everything. It was cringeworthy watching him in the show. You might as well as getting Steve Carell, ventriloquist dummy, that looked like Will Ferrell, because he had to have his hand up Will Ferrell's ass and carry him through every scene. If the executives behind The Office had made the correct choice and replaced Steve Carell with Sinbad, The Office would still be on TV and would be unanimously regarded as the best show ever. I mean, I don't understand why they brought him on the show. If you want someone to come on, be unfunny, and spew nonsense, I'm available. I would have come on.
Ronnie, thoughts on D'Angelo Vickers?
This is a terrible, terrible pick. He was never meant to be there for a long time, and he wasn't. It was just sort of they're trying to like sort of mimic, I guess, top level office turnover where you don't make quite the right hire for like 5 tries, but then someone else settles in. And Will Ferrell's hilarious. I don't know if you've ever seen his performance in Old School, but that was hilarious. Great comedian. Brought a lot to the show for a few episodes. Terrible pick.
This is an absolute terrible pick. I actually just watched these episodes the other day. They are hilarious. It starts off hilarious when they're sitting next to each other, and Michael and him don't realize that they're supposed to be meeting each other, all the way up to when he tries to dunk like over Kevin, and he gets a brain injury. I mean, the scene where he does the scene that you showed is one of the most epic scenes I feel like ever. And I mean, such a great. I mean, if he would have had the balls, it would have made it worse. I mean, it was such a great performance. Terrible pick by Ryan. I hope this isn't the start of like last week. So I would start round 3 last week. Are we just mailing it in this week too? We'll move on to Zach. Any thoughts on D'Angelo Vickers?
I mean, I kind of see what he's saying, but I still think it's not a great pick. Will Ferrell's great. This wasn't one of his better roles. In fact, there were a few celebrity bosses they brought on the show that did a better job, like James Spader. So if that's the angle he's going for, that Will Ferrell didn't do a great job compared to the other celebrities, but I like Will Ferrell. He was okay in The Office. I could have gone either way. As terms of top 5 worst characters, I wouldn't put him on the list, but he was all right in the role, but nothing great.
Yeah, pretty much unanimous. Ryan was wrong. We'll move on to number 4 for Ronnie.
All right, we're sticking with the same show. Holy crap. By the way, the guy that replaced him, the absolute worst character on The Office, the Nard Dog, Andy Bernard. This guy was the least funniest part about the show. And he was just completely unnecessary from the day that he was introduced on the show. He was in Stanford with Halpert after he moved. He called him Big Tuna, and they brought him over with everyone else. He should have been the first one fired because he was a nutcase. Like his anger management issues, which didn't flare up until they sort of retconned that. Then he became like, oh, sweet, lovable Andy that always, effed everything up. Like, I think in the last season, I mean, by the way, after Carell left, it was brutal to watch. But the last season, he ruined everything. And they even, like, fake, like, in the Office sort of way, killed him off by making him, a piece of shit that pretty much got fired and didn't get the girl because he's such a bad character. The least funniest character on The Office. And every character other than him and probably Pam, she's not funny, was hilarious. So screw you, Andy Bernard. You're terrible. You ruined the show.
I can't believe you're disrespecting the show. I feel this is just 2 back-to-back. I can't believe you're doing it to. I mean, I can't believe you're doing this to Drew, bro. He came back as Drew after anger management. If anyone's worked in an office and you haven't felt like punching a hole in the wall, I don't know who you are. That shit was hilarious. That was one of the funniest episodes too. And when he punches a hole in, he's like, "That was an overreaction." That was one of the funniest lines. This is a bad call. I love it when Jim puts stuff in Jello right off the bat when he moves and he freaks out about that. Terrible pick. I disagree with this one. The Office to me is off limits. So Zach, what do you think?
I'm not a big fan of the pick. I think he was all right. He wasn't terrible. He was a little annoying at first, but they found out what in the character was funny and what not. So, I mean, he was an all right character. I don't think he was that bad. He was trying to play annoying, so he played to it all right. He didn't go over the top. I don't know. I thought he was an okay character. Wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't put him on my list.
Yeah, another terrible pick. I mean, did you know he went to Cornell, Ronnie?
Yeah, this is on the brochure.
Well, I don't think you would be showing such disrespect if you did. Joe Palumbo loves this character, and I love Joe Palumbo, so terrible pick.
Makes sense.
We're going to move on quickly, but mine's going to be quick because we already talked about, actually just talked about my, oops. Well, I don't need to bring up a picture because Ronnie already had it. So my number 4 was Ross Geller, David Schwimmer. He's terrible, by far the worst Friends character, not just like the main ones, like the whole show.
Phoebe?
I mean, yeah, Phoebe was cool, yo. She had her own vibe going, and she just was herself. But he never knew who he was. Like I said, the monkey was way better than he was. I will take Janice on screen any day of the week over Ross Geller. Okay, give me Janice. She's annoying as hell, but yo, I just cannot stand this guy. And there's no chance in hell that Joey would have ever hung out with this guy. He's a piece of shit. He always, did you notice he lived by himself all the fucking time? Because no one liked him. He was a fucking terrible person. I don't think he really hooked up with all those chicks. I think it was fake. It was just put on by the show. Obviously, they're trying to make it seem like it was going on, but it really wasn't. This guy's terrible. We don't even have to discuss him anymore. But those were the points that I wanted to bring up of why he was such a terrible character. So we'll move on to Zach for number 3 since we already talked about Ross.
All right. So for number 3, I got Howard Wolowitz from Big Bang Theory. He's a just terrible character, never funny, annoying. He's incredibly creepy. He's always like harassing everybody, harassing women. Gross dude. He crashed the Mars rover to impress a girl and lie about it, and just like brings absolutely nothing to this particular show. Don't know why they kept him on. They should have got rid of him. That's my pick for number 3.
Yeah, you could have named anybody from the show and you would have been correct. I mean, this show is fucking terrible. Do they still have a laugh track on the show? Like, they still need a laugh track like the 90s to
seriously
make you pretend this shit is funny? Terrible show, so great pick. I agree.
Yeah, I'm literally going to say the same thing. You could have named anyone on the show. This show is so terrible that I wanted to put him like Sheldon on this list, but I haven't watched it enough because I hate that show so unbearably much. I don't know why people like it. It's not funny at all. It's like literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Great pick.
Yeah, it's a terrible show. So, I mean, I am echoing everything that they said. This is, it wasn't like Blossom on the show too. Like, what's going on there? Like,
yeah,
it's just
Blossom.
I don't get it.
6 on.
We'll move on. Exactly. So I think that everyone agreed with that one. Ryan, we'll move on to number 3 for you.
Oh, well, definitely everyone's going to agree with this one. My number 3 is Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. I mean, Ash Ketchum's dream is to become a Pokemon master, but he knows nothing about Pokemon. Every Pokemon he encounters, oh, what's this Pokemon? Seriously, Ash, you don't know what a Pidgey is? I encountered 3 wild Pidgeys walking from my bedroom to the kitchen this morning. This dude destroys Misty's bike and never replaces it. He's gifted all of his badges because all the gym leaders feel bad for him. It's no surprise he gets his ass kicked in the Pokemon League all the time. It's like letting an NFL team who's 0-16 into the playoffs, then being surprised when they get their ass kicked. I mean, Ash never catches Pokemon. They just agree to go on this journey with them. It's like, hey, Charmander, you want to live in this tiny ball and be forced to battle to the death? Sure, Ash, that sounds great. This guy was 10 years old in 1997, making him 33 today, and he is still running around with 10-year-olds. I'm still waiting for the Pokemon episode where Ash catches Pedo Bear. Somebody please call Chris Hansen.
Cookies and lemonade.
Ronnie, thoughts on Ass Catcher?
Ketchup.
Ryan, you totally
Just-
redeemed yourself from last week and this week. This is the best pick I think that's ever been on this podcast. Ash Ketchum is such a piece of shit. He's got this guy on his journey, Brock. Brock is just trying to hang out with these ladies. You know, he doesn't give a shit. He's just traveling around, hanging out with these ladies. Who's hating? Ash is hating. Constantly. Constantly. Not only that, like Ryan said, like, this guy is so focused on doing something he has no clue of what he's doing. Like, he's like, oh, I want to be the greatest Pokemon master, and everyone laughs at him because it's laughable, because he stinks. He stinks. The only reason he ever wins any battles is because Pikachu bails him out every once in a while, just goes ape shit for no reason. I don't know why Pikachu's even with that man. And even Pikachu at first was like, Ash, you kind of suck, and he scorched the shit out of him with some lightning. So this is a great pick, Brian. Yeah, I'm about to cry almost. It's such a good pick. Fantastic.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Here we go again with all this Pokemon nonsense. I
The
don't
first time
get
Pokemon's been brought up.
I don't get Ash Catcher.
Ever.
I don't know what's up with his lightning monkey friend. I don't get the whole jam, There's like all kinds of things. There's like salamanders, I feel like. I don't know anything about it. I mean, but do your thing, bro. I mean, it's popular. But I know nothing about this guy, so I'm gonna pass it to Zach.
Yeah, good pick. Ash is terrible. I mean, I hate when you put character on a show and the thing is the character knows nothing about what's going on, and he had like you said, he has this dream to become a Pokemon master, but he knows nothing about Pokemon. Like, read a book on it or something. Like, put some work in, dude. And then he gets his own TV show. Like, come on, ridiculous. Good pick. Ash is terrible. Team Rocket.
Ronnie, it sounds like that was a consensus outside of me.
What was that?
You're
My
brown.
Oh, my bad. Number 3.
Yeah. So for my number 3, going back to Friends, Rachel Green. Worse than Ross Geller. It's not even debatable because the character is literally the epitome of white privilege. This bitch shows up on the first episode, ran away from the altar. She's gonna marry this rich ass orthodontist just because he was rich. She had no skills at all. She's stupid. She couldn't do anything. Her friend saves her, lets her live in their lavish New York apartment. By the way, they couldn't afford. There's no way in hell they could afford that fucking apartment in Manhattan, with one of them being a chef and the other one being unemployed. But I digress. Let's even further this by saying she literally worked at a coffee shop, which is, listen, it's fine. Nothing wrong working at a coffee shop. But you ain't working at a coffee shop and living in downtown Manhattan or midtown Manhattan or Manhattan anywhere. Working at a fucking coffee shop. Everything was handed to her. She ruined Ross. Completely ruined him. Ruined his marriage to that British chick. I forget what the fuck her name is. And, she's just a horrible person. She can't cook. She, mixed chocolate, beef, and whipped cream. Like, who does that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. How stupid do you have to be? Rachel Green, and just a whiny voice, always complaining, I hate you. She even tried to have sex with Joey at the end, I think. Terrible. I hate Rachel Green.
Yeah, I think the character's name was Emily that they broke up. But I think she was British, so it was okay. Except for the fact that it was Ross that was the dude is terrible. Are you joking with me?
It does suck.
I think my next pick is actually the definition of white privilege. But I can see where you're coming from. It was pretty much, she was pretty ridiculous. But Ross was so bad that just took up all the screen of all the bad time, I feel like. So I'm not gonna argue for her because I'm not a big her fan on the show. There are other characters I like better, but I'll pass it to Zach to see what he thinks.
Yeah, I don't know. I could go either way on her. She wasn't that annoying, but she brought absolutely nothing to the show. Nothing at all. They just kept her around because I guess people liked her, but she wasn't funny. Like you said, she should have got a better job at some point. I mean, I know she moved on to like Bloomingdale's or whatever, but yeah, she didn't deserve to be in an apartment like that. I could see where you're coming on the privilege aspect, but I mean, I wouldn't all out hate her, but you know, she did kind of suck. So I see your point, but I wouldn't put her on my list.
Ryan, thoughts on Rachel Green?
Her and Ross were on a break.
Is that your thought?
That's it. That's
I
right.
like it. All right, well, I'm going to move on to my number 3. It's my only female to make the list, but I'm telling you, this show would have been so much better if it would have gone with any other storyline as the main storyline, okay? I don't know if you guys have seen this show, but it's called Orange is the New Black, all right?
Oh,
This chick's name is Piper Chapman, all right? What the fuck, yo? Why is she the fucking main character, okay? I mean, talk about white privilege. I mean, how many white, you know, like everyone else is like a different ethnicity. Give me something else, yo. I want Crazy Eyes to be the main storyline. You know what I mean? Give me Nikki, who's like Natasha Lyonne in the show. Or how about Pennsatucky is a better main character? Or any of like the or Red, the girl, like the lady in the kitchen. Like, give me any of these people other than this chick. Like, it makes my brain hurt to see her face. The show actually could have been good, and I tried to watch it for a while, but even like the Gloria and the like those storylines are better. The chick just drives me crazy. The show just could have been so much better without her being the person. I don't know. Her face makes me mad. So her name, by the way, is Piper Chapman, and she's terrible. Zach, thoughts on Piper Chapman? Have you seen the show?
100% agree. I watched, I don't know, how many seasons are there now? 5?
I think
watched-
so.
I watched the first 3 or 4, and then it just got bad, so I had to stop watching. But yeah, 100% agree. There's so many good characters on that show, and she's the main character, and she's the worst. And there's nothing more terrible than when you got a bunch of good characters on a show, and then they revolve around a main character that brings absolutely nothing. She almost made my list. I probably would have had her at 6 or 7. She 100% agree with this pick. Great pick. She's awful. Brings nothing. Terrible character. Nice pick.
Ryan, thoughts?
I never really understood this show. I have no idea what they're trying to do, because you have this one character where like drama and stuff is revolved around, and then you got these side characters who are zany and shit like this. So I don't know if it's a drama, if it's a comedy, what they're going for. And she was, you know, part of a lot of the boring shit in that show. So I think it's a good pick.
Ronnie?
I've never really watched the show. Some people try to get me to watch it, and I was in sort of my TV rebellion phase, which is still ongoing. But, you know, I got to disagree with you. Like, I think lots of shows need a conduit, right? So sometimes the electricity's got to pass through a piece of metal to get to where it needs to go, and she's just the conduit, right? She's not the electricity. Like, the electricity is the other characters. It's like, and I don't know if this is on someone's list, and I apologize, but Jerry Seinfeld, the worst actor in the goddamn world, but he was needed on the show. All the other characters are better, but he was needed because he's the glue. He's what brought them together. And it's her story. So, terrible pick. I love this broad. Especially when she got into that knife fight with that one crazy lady. I know about that episode. But that's about it.
All right, well, we're already all the way up to number 2 for our guest, Zach. Who do you got for number 2, sir?
All right. Coming with Joffrey Baratheon. I hate this guy so much. He was a little piece of garbage. He had my boy Ned Stark killed, the best dude on the show. He had one of the direwolves killed. You don't mess with the direwolves. He tried to beat up Sansa. He was annoying. He was whiny. Everybody on the show hated him, even his own family. His own brother smacked him around. The only reason he wasn't number 1 for me is because the character was meant to be terrible and annoying, and it was played really well. So that's the only reason he was at number 2. but terrible character. I hate him. He's awful.
Insanely horrible pick. Joffrey was the best character on that show. That show rapidly declined after they killed him off. Everything you talked about, everything he was responsible for is why that show was good. Killing off Ned Stark made you know that, everyone's up for grabs. Anyone can die at any time. We talked about earlier how if you introduce a dog, nothing bad's going to happen. Well, you're fucking dead, Direwolf. He's beating up women. I mean, fucking, this guy will do anything. Best part of that show. Can't believe they killed him off. I hope they bring him back as a ghost next season. Hopefully there's not another season.
I gotta echo Ryan's sentiments. This is an all-time worst pick on this podcast. King Joffrey to you, Zach. King Joffrey Baratheon. His name, King of the Andals. This guy killed Ned Stark, rightfully so, because Ned questioned his authority, which he shouldn't have. He was a rightful heir after his father died. He understood that his family didn't like him, but if they pushed him too far, they knew he would take them out. He was actually very gentle to them on purpose. Like, he could have killed his mom after smacking the shit out of him, but he didn't. He could have had Tyrion done for the same thing. He didn't kill Sansa. He was just joking around with her. Like, oh, hey, there's your dad's head on a pike. Like, hey, that's kind of funny, man. Like, to be honest with you, that's kind of funny. So, he had Robb Stark killed too, so that was kind of cool. And, he's just an overall good guy. And like Ryan said, like, he was needed. He was necessary. He was sort of that puppet that everyone did stuff through. And, Joff was great. Can't believe he said that. Terrible pick.
Yeah, I'm not a GOT guy, so I'm not really going to even comment, but I will say that little kid looks creepy. So we'll move on to Ryan for number 2.
So my number 2 is none other than Ronnie Dar.
What?
From Top 5 Everything. So every week, if I want to tune in to Top 5 Everything to watch Danny and Ryan and their delightful guests, I have to put up with this guy. He has the worst lists week after week. He's disagreeable just to be disagreeable. His moral question of the week is often offensive. Word is this guy is a total diva on set, always showing up late for taping. I heard he drinks on the job. I heard his handsome and charming co-host Ryan wanted to make a spin-off documentary where they competed against each other in a Taco Bell eating contest, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 playoff, and a bench press competition, and he totally bitched out. Lost a ton of respect for the dude right there. I can't believe I actually have someone worse on my list.
Ron, any thoughts on yourself as number 2?
Ryan, you're on fire this week, man. Fantastic pick. This guy sucks. He hates on everything. I mean, when we did the who would you like to have dinner with segment, you picked people that don't even exist.
And a gorilla.
Which is not a person. Rest in peace, Harambe. But he's not even a person. It's like he doesn't even put thought in these things and does it 5 minutes before the podcast. What a piece of crap. I heard he pissed on a Wawa once, which is alleged. But yeah, he kind of sucks. I agree. Good pick.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This is a great pick. Ryan obviously didn't mail it in this week. This is the guy. This is the only guy on the podcast whose wife doesn't listen to the podcast. So it tells you something. You know what I mean? Obviously, she doesn't want to hear the bullshit anymore. I get it. We have to deal with it for an hour a week. She has to deal with it the rest of her life. So I feel bad for her. Zach, thoughts?
Good pick. I like the pick. Thinking outside the box, but it's a clear pick. You're right. His lists are usually pretty bad. and he's pretty disagreeable about everything. So I like the pick. Good choice.
Piper Chapman sucks, Ronnie. All right, it's up to Ronnie for his number 2.
Damn, I don't know if I can top that, but I'm gonna try here with Joey Gladstone. Cutting it out. Speaking of losers, this guy bumming off his best friend, whose wife just died, living in his basement, also doesn't have a job forever. Completely unnecessary in the show when you think about it, because Uncle Jesse is 1, the better uncle, but also 2, the cooler uncle, and 3, can actually afford to live in San Francisco, unlike Joey Gladstone. He has his hand up some chipmunks, but half the time, Ranger, I don't know what the hell his name is. I forgot because he's so bad. He's worse than Gibbler. That is 100% true. This guy always gave bad advice. He never had a steady girlfriend because 1, they all hated him, but 2, he wasn't as cool as Uncle Jesse. And who did all the girls go to? They didn't go to Uncle Joey. That guy lived in the basement. You live in a basement, you suck. Screw Joey Gladstone. He made a great show terrible. I hate him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I hate him. I mean, he seemed kind of stupid to me, like in the show just in general. Like, aren't you supposed to be in LA, not San Francisco? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe there. I mean, I'm sure there's like a pretty good comedy scene in San Francisco too, but it just seemed, I don't know. He seemed kind of stupid. I don't know. But yeah, I don't like dislike him that much. So I'm gonna pass it to Zach and see what he thinks.
Yeah, I think this is an all right pick. He's annoying. His whole thing was shtick with the cut it out thing you were showing in the GIF. Like, he just wasn't a real character. Worse uncle, and he's also the reason why we have terrible Alanis Morissette songs. So there's that too. So thanks a lot for us having to hear that stupid song. So yeah, terrible guy.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Anyone who lives in a basement kind of creeps me out. This guy reminds me of Jumpy, always trying to get me to come down to the basement and do some weird stuff with them. Nah, man, I'm fine. I'm staying up here, not going to the basement. Definitely a good pick.
Down in the basement with you and your chipmunk. All right, all the way up to my number 2. And actually, I think my number 2 is a very, very solid pick. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Ryan's. I don't know if it's going to stop everybody in their tracks like Ryan's. But you will know this, Joan, if you've ever watched the show, I guess. This right here is Eric Foreman. Okay? This guy's from that 70s show. He ruins the fucking show, all right? His dad is the fucking man, all right? Red, is awesome. He never fucking pulls the trigger with Donna, right? And, all of his friends only hang out with this motherfucker because they can smoke weed in his parents' basement. I mean, like, none of all these other people are cooler than him. They're not going to hang out with this guy. I hate this guy. He is the worst. The guy has no fucking calves either. Like, what's the fucking deal, bro? You know what I'm saying? He fucking skipped leg day every day of his life. Hate him. He's the worst. Anytime your dad is like the reason your friends are hanging out at your place, you're terrible. I hate you, Eric Foreman. Topher Grace, it rubbed off on you too as a person. I hate you as a person too. So the whole thing is ruined because of him. Thought it could be a decent show, but not because of that guy. Zach, any thoughts on this asshole?
I agree. He almost made my list. He was probably number 6. He would have been on there. He's terrible. Like you said, nobody even want to hang out with him. The show even threw him a bone with Donna, and he messed that up. And his must have been a huge disappointment to his dad in life. So I feel bad for Red. His son's awful. Good pick. Like it.
It's a terrible pick. Eric was pretty cool. He was 4 times any other man. That's why he was 4-man. I mean, the show fucking completely tanked after he left it. He banged out Donna. He was fucking Venom. This guy's the man.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think this is a bad pick. He was the glue again. Like, you need someone to bring the group together. I'm not saying he's the best character.
Glue nonsense. The glue argument again.
You need a glue. You need a glue. You need a conduit. A conduit.
You heard,
a
the
conduit.
electricity. We get it. You talked. We get the conduit.
Yeah,
We heard that one
we
last
gave
time.
the science class, Ronnie. That's good.
Listen,
These guys are all glue. Everybody's glue.
Keep
Fork
going,
was
Ronnie.
Hilarious. He was hilarious. He made great jokes. He made fun of all of his friends except for Donna, who he had sex with several times, is what I heard. His dad was red, so he had to be cool. His mom was the best character on the show. Not many people actually know that, but the mom was definitely the best character on the show. You know, he wasn't as bad as what's-his-face, the Skeevan dude that actually turned out to be like a pedophile in real life. What's his name? Hyde? That guy sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not even the worst one on the show. And Fez was terrible. The only good ones were Mila Kunis. Ashton Kutcher kind of sucked, but he did good at that role. Donna, and Eric Foreman, and Red and his parents. So, terrible pick. This has got to be, I think, the worst pick today. I'm sorry, Dan. Really bad.
All right, we'll move on to Zach's number one quickly.
All right. We're going to have to hear more of Ronnie's conduit bullshit answer. Because here we go with my number one's Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
He is awful. Not funny ever on a comedy show. He's the main character. Every episode, he's tricking his kids into saying that he's going to tell them a great story about meeting their parents. And then he just goes on to tell this creepy story of exploits of him with other women. That's creepy as hell. Like, why would you tell your kids about that every single night? He screws over these women left and right. He tried to get his girlfriend to get rid of her dog at one point. He broke in and stole files from a dating company to try and trick a woman into liking him. He dumped a woman on her birthday. He does a bunch of terrible stuff, and they still try to play him off as a good guy. It's just played out. It's bad. He's a terrible character. Ruins the show. Whatever it had going for it. Ted Mosby's my number one.
You know, here's the thing you don't understand. Every show needs a piece of metal in the middle.
You've been eating some of Ronnie's glue.
Ryan, steal my talking points.
Oh, sorry. I disagree. I think this guy's pretty funny. That, like, this is something I would do to my kids. Is just say, hey, I'm going to tell you this story about this, but then just go off on these real weird tangents over and over again, night after night. So I actually never answer their question. So whenever they answer me like, hey, how do clouds work? I'll just start talking about, mowing the lawn and make them listen to that shit. I mean, this guy grows up. This guy is already a grown-up, but he grows up to be Bob Saget. I mean, that, gives me inspiration. I can grow up and be Bob Saget. I mean, that's fantastic. Terrible pick. Great character.
Ronnie?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen the show enough to comment. I always wonder what the hell the show was about, because it was never about telling kids anything about meeting mothers, and all I know is that Doogie Howser was on there banging chicks, but that's not his thing. That hot chick from the Marvel movies. Every once in a while, the Avenger movies is on there. I think she has a show for herself now. It's like in Portland, I forget what it's called. Stumptown. She's cool. That dude from Leaving Sarah Marshall's on there. He's all right. The clarinet girl's on there. She's all right. But I didn't even know who this guy is. I didn't know he was on the show. That's how forgettable he is, how laughable he is as a human being. You're supposed to be the conduit. You're supposed to be the glue that keeps everyone together. You did a terrible job. It's like putting a piece of wood in there and letting electricity go through. He bursts into flames. He's so bad. I hate this guy. He sucks. Good pick.
Yeah, this actually, I had 6 people he was the 6th person that got booted off the list. But dude, he is terrible. He's the worst character on the show. Barney is way better than him. Allison Hannigan, who was beating the shit out of shit with with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You know what I mean? She's talk about longevity, man. That chick has been like around forever and was still killing it. All these characters, yeah. Jason Segel is, funny. Everyone in that show is better than he is. He's terrible. I hate it. Yeah, like it's kind of like you have to watch all 7 seasons until the whole thing kind of. It's just like, it's nonsense. I agree. He needed to be the conduit that he wasn't. So we'll move on to number 1 for Ryan.
So for my number 1, I'm going with Rory Gilmore. She's got this like Harry Potter thing where people love her, even though she's a giant piece of shit. I mean, she's a terrible friend. Her and Lane are best friends, but they're maybe in 3 scenes an entire series together. She dumped Dean, who was way too good for her. Dean had every single high score at Star Hollows Arcade. There was one episode where they visit Dean in an arcade, and then he is just fucking shredding it at Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I would love to know who his team is. I mean, after this, she waited until Dean got married just so she could have an affair with him and destroy a marriage. Some random guy tells her that she can't cut it as a journalist, so she quits. And not just her job, at life, she drops out of fucking Yale and lives off her grandparents. I mean, and what's up with Yale anyway? You wanted to go to Harvard your whole fucking life, and you change your mind the last minute? And then I'm glad A Year in a Life came back so we can check up what Rory's been up to. Oh, right, nothing. She's done nothing with her life. She's been given every privilege and opportunity in the world and hasn't done anything with it. She has this boyfriend for 2 years who she literally keeps forgetting about. She cheats on him constantly and wastes 2 years of this guy's life. Then she gets pregnant at the end of the show, and we don't know who the father is because she's banging so many guys at the same time. Was it Logan? Was it a random boyfriend, Paul? Or was it that random guy that was dressed up like a Wookiee at that Star Wars convention? And a Wookiee is Chewbacca for people who don't know what Star Wars is. The only way to make this, redeem this show in any way is to make Luke that guy that was dressed up as Chewbacca. It totally tracks. They talked about him being a Trekkie earlier in the show. So what if he just went dressed up as Chewbacca at random conventions? That's an ending for that show. Rory Gilmore is white privileged personified.
Ronnie.
Yeah, Ryan. I was going to give you the unquestioned W this week, and you just snatched it from yourself. This is the worst pick in podcast history. It's happened twice.
Have you watched the show?
Yeah, I watched the show. I love Gilmore Girls. I watched every episode because they talk so fast, and I love it. Especially Rory. Yeah, she makes some questionable decisions, but that's the difference because she has her grandparents' influence, and she has her mom. Her mom also had her when she was young. That's the whole point of the goddamn show, is she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. That's it. There's nothing else to do with the show other than Rory's life and her constant mishaps, because if she didn't have any mishaps, there'd be no plot. It'd just be Gilmore hanging out girl. No, it's Gilmore Girls. They get into nonsense. They talk about it really fast. No one, even on the show, can understand what they're saying. All these pop culture references. I met Alexis Bledel once, the actor that plays Rory Gilmore, walking on the street in New York. I walk up to her. I'm like, "Hello, Miss Bledel. I'm your biggest fan. I love Rory Gilmore. Do you want to hang out?" And she told me, she stopped. She turned around. She looked at me straight in the eye. She said, "Sir, I do not hang out with commoners, and you're not even that." You know what? She was right. No one's on Rory Gilmore's level. I love her. She hates normal people because she is the best. She was also great in the Sisterhood of Traveling Pants, and I'm assuming she was the same character in that. So I hate you, Ryan. You took a personal shot. I know you did it on purpose. This hurts.
Did you feel the electricity coming off of her, Ronnie?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I was doing my research, this name kept on popping up on a lot of the research for whatever reason. I watch Gilmore Girls so that my wife allows me to watch shows like The Floor is Lava. So I mean, like, and I didn't even think she was that bad. I mean, I didn't really get the whole show. I think that like what's her name, the like bigger girl comedian that was on there was like she was the funniest part of the show. The one that was like the baker or whatever, Melissa McCarthy or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was the best part of the show. They need to show her and her husband more. But yeah, I didn't think she was that bad. So, you know, and then they did bring back, I guess, you know, for a year or whatever, the Gilmore Girl year or whatever. But yeah, well, I don't feel like she is the worst character ever, especially not number one. I mean, that's pretty rough.
It's right there.
Zach?
I didn't really watch the show. Probably will at some point, but I mean, Ryan made some good points, but I feel like he's just mad that she didn't get with a guy that likes Marvel versus Capcom 2. That might be the whole impetus behind his decision. So I don't know. I guess I could go either way. He did make us some good points, but it seems like a personal pick right there.
He is mad.
All right, all the way up to Ronnie for number one. See if he takes a shot back.
All right, my number one is someone that's a horrible TV character and also a horrible person. And it is Roseanne from the Roseanne Show. Let's talk about the show first before we get to the actual real life human being. I don't know a single person that watched that show. She literally talks like this the whole time. It is the worst fucking thing in the world. The show is so bad that my dad, when we were little, I asked him, I was like, Dad, the show's on. I hear it's really popular. He told me, he's like, there's one thing you cannot watch, it's Roseanne, because it's terrible. And he was right. For once in his life, my dad was right. She is so bad in the show that they kill her off because she's completely unnecessary. And apparently the show is still going on and it's renamed it. In real life, she was married to Tom Arnold. Now, first off, who the hell marries Tom Arnold? That guy sucks. But then he divorced her. And you know what? That makes me like Tom Arnold a lot more because he made the right decision because she is terrible. She spouts all these crazy conspiracy theories about everything in real life. She's a terrible human being. That's objectively true. The other day, she said Trump is the first female president. What the hell does that even mean? No one knows. Roseanne Barr, easily the worst TV show character ever. Worst human being in real life ever. I hate her. God.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand this show or Married with Children. I just thought it like personified, like, yeah, it's cool to be white trash. I don't know. I never really understood it. The only good part of that show, I don't understand how John Goodman dealt with that nonsense, yo. I mean, he's the man. Yes. And how could you be on set every day to deal with that shit? Yeah, that had got to be crazy. Tom Arnold definitely is the man for getting a divorce. I think he's hilarious. He had a movie where he was like in the army or something, and that shit was hilarious. Way funnier than anything that Roseanne's ever done. And by the way, yo, why was she always wearing muumuus? What the fuck was up with that shit? You put on some regular clothes. I don't get it. Zach?
Yeah, good pick. She's awful. The show is awful. I watched this show a lot, and I don't know why, because it was bad. I guess it was the only thing on, but I kept watching it, and I didn't like it, but I still kept watching it, and she is just terrible character. Feel bad for John Goodman. Great man. Tom Arnold, he had to put through that. I guess that's why he did True Lies. But anyway,
yeah,
good pick. Good pick. Roseanne is, ugh.
Yeah.
Ryan?
I used to watch the show a lot too because DJ Zito would always put it on at 2 a.m. at the Scholl's house and try to get us to watch fucking Roseanne in the middle of a party. No, dude, I'm not watching this stupid shit.
I remember that.
Yes, like fucking terrible show, annoying voice. At least John Goodman came out of it. Roseanne's fucking terrible. So I agree.
Looks like the number one. That was a good number one, Ronnie. All right. We'll move on to final pick of the day. The show's already been mentioned. Okay. So, and you guys were correct. Anybody on the show probably could have been paid. I don't really dislike anybody on the show other than this guy, though. This guy is the fucking worst fucking character ever. Okay, his name's Sheldon Cooper. Apparently, I barely watched the show. I know about it because it's been on for so long. People talk about it. All right, he is the reason why people hate smart people. All right, he acts like he's better than everybody else. All right, he's socially awkward. Like even the kid from Roseanne is on this show. I don't mind that dude, but man, Sheldon Cooper, and then they have the audacity to make a show about a young version of this motherfucker. Like, yo, what the fuck is happening? I don't get it. Like, like nerds and stuff are all cool, and I know it's all the rage right now, but this is the wrong kind of nerd. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you smart people out there, you're not better than anyone else just because you can retain some knowledge. All right, back the fuck up off your egos. No one wants to hear that shit, and that's why you're so socially awkward in general. But the whole thing is just like I can't even like watch the show because it just like it gives me anxiety how much he drives me crazy. Even like thinking about watching the whole episode makes me mad, and how everybody likes it. I just don't get it. This fucking one with a little kid. Once again, you guys are bringing the fucking kids in this shit. And you can't say the show's bad because there's a kid on it. Fuck that shit, yo. The whole concept is terrible. You know what I mean? This is terrible. They should have killed the show way before they did. I can't believe that many people watched it. It's terrible. I'm sorry. That's my number one. He always will be my number one. He was born to be my number one. Fuck that dude. Zach, thoughts on my man?
Yeah, I mean, I could go either way on him. He's annoying. But there's a lot of other more annoying characters on the show, I think. Although I do see your point. He is annoying about his intelligence and throws it around obnoxiously. So, I mean, it's an all right pick. I won't have him on my list. I think there's a couple other more annoying characters in the show, but I could go either way.
Ryan?
Yeah,
Sheldon?
He's the, worst kind of nerd. And that's the nerd that likes DC Comics. DC Comics sucks balls.
I mean, he wore a Green Lantern shirt once.
Yeah, Green Lantern, fucking The Flash, Batman, suck fucking balls, all of them. Have you ever played fucking DC versus Mortal Kombat? That game sucks. Give me Marvel's Capcom 2 any day. Fuck you, Sheldon. I can't believe you got a spin-off show.
Ronnie?
Yeah, this is a great pick. Like I said earlier, he probably would have been on my list if I actually watched the show, but I can't stand any of them. So I don't even know what to hate on, but I know I hate them. And he's definitely on the top of the hate list on that show. And it's kind of weird, like, you make a show about nerds and they're all horrible people. Like, none of them are good people. They're all assholes. It's like, that's not funny at all. Like, it's funny when, someone makes fun of George Costanza for stretching out their cashmere sweater. That's hilarious. But this guy is literally, like, making fun of his neighbor who's just a normal blonde chick. Like, oh, you don't know what the Pythagorean theorem is? Oh, you're so stupid. And everyone's, like, fake laughing in the background. I'm like, that's not funny at all. Like, yeah, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The hypotenuse, everyone knows that. But, I think it puts nerds in a bad light. Like, people think like nerds act like this, and it's disrespectful. And going back to Ryan's first pick, the TV show Young Sheldon, they really should just kill him off.
Bring back Revenge of the Nerds for one more go round, baby. That's what I want. That's what I want. You know what I mean? Give me an updated Revenge of the Nerds. All right, all the way through for volume 9. That one was a good one. I really thought that we moved on, we moved through them pretty quickly, but I thought that there were some good talking points. Ronnie, do you have an ethical question of the week?
I do have an ethical question. It's about spite. When or is it ever okay to ever act in spite for any reason at all?
Ryan, thoughts?
I feel like my whole life is built on spite.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's the only thing that gets me up in the morning, is because I want to prove someone else wrong. So every morning I get up with just that in mind of, oh shit, this guy made fun of me in second grade. I gotta go do my best to show that piece of shit that I'm better than him. So that's the only way I live my life. I'm fueled off spite and hot pockets.
Spitefulness is, I'm telling you, it's next to godliness, baby. You definitely need it. You need it to be able to, I love it, man. Bring on the spite. I live it every day. I might be the king of spite. Ryan might be the prince.
Zach, I think you got the crown. I think you got the crown.
Gives you something to work towards in life, you got to have goals, right? Can make your goal list off of spite.
Right.
I'm really proud of all three of you. It is correct. Spite is literally the only motivation that you ever need in life, right? Like, if there was no people or situations pissing you off, you wouldn't do anything, right? You just sit there, hang out, chill, everything would be great. But you have all this stress, and these things are stressing you, and you got to fight them back. The only way to fight them back is with spite.
Yeah.
Not Sprite. I think maybe Ryan was a little confused a bit when he was talking about Hot Pockets and Sprite earlier, but talking about spite. Spite is the greatest reason to do anything. If someone upsets you, like if someone's like, if I deal with people outside our office all the time. Like I send them emails. If someone's nice, I'm really fast with those emails, like the responses. If someone's not, I take my time. I think we've all done that. Spite is the greatest reason to do anything in the world. You should be nice to people so they don't act out in spite towards you.
That's right. Great question of the week. Zach, we really appreciate not only the support for the show, but you coming on and joining us for Volume 9. We're almost in double digits, fellas. This is getting This is getting into the craziness. So appreciate everybody tuning in again. Zach, once again, man, appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me.
See you, everybody. Have a good week.
Take care, guys.
See you.